I mean, I guess, there is a downside risk here. There's no question about that, and Chinese authorities will need to, obviously take appropriate action, and we will continue to monitor how that evolves moving forward.
One other thing that the OECD have consistently said, and this has been thematic over the last 12 months, is one of the reasons why the world economic growth didn't go into such deep declines is because of the extraordinary amount of support that we got both on a fiscal side and monetary policy side. When you were putting together your forecast for next year, how much monetary policy tightening are you incorporating? Because now we're getting to a point where central banks have said, or have started to say, it's probably time for us to think about withdrawing some of the stimulus that we've provided. So how does that factor into your forecast next year? And if we do start to get more hawkish surprises out of central banks, is that a downside risk?
Well, look, I mean, we say to both fiscal and monetary policymakers that it is important to keep the support in place until the recovery is well established, and indeed to appropriately telegraph your intentions with enough time for people to be able to plan ahead. And when we believe that the responses provided by governments and by central banks so far have been a very important part of helping the global economy recover as quickly as it has, and to be in a stronger position as we are. And we're confident that governments and central banks will continue to make sensible judgments moving forward.
Do you think that governments have done enough on the structural reform front as a function of this pandemic, or would you have liked to see more steps taken in that direction rather than just plugging in a fiscal hole or relying on central banks for further accommodation?
Well, look, I mean, when the crisis first hit, there's no question there was a need for rapid crisis-level fiscal support. There was a need for a very quick response. But of course, as things have gone on, it is important, and it has been important, and will continue to be important, to adjust the composition of that fiscal support and to be more future-focused and to be more focused on the necessary structural reforms, addressing some of the longer-term issues that were there before the crisis hit. And that is certainly what we are saying to policymakers around the world. Don't withdraw fiscal support, adjust and improve the quality of the composition of that fiscal support, targeted appropriately to those sectors and those in most need of support, but also really channel that investment into future-focused areas, and in those areas that can help us get onto a stronger trajectory moving forward on a structural basis.
Finally, just on a positive note, obviously we are a European-based channel. I want to ask you about your European growth forecast. I see you have upgraded them. Where is the positivity coming from?
Well, it's basically based on the observed data. I mean, I think that what has happened in Europe is that the vaccine rollout has really worked very, very well, and that's had a real impact. I mean, it's led to the progressive easing of restrictions, and the recovery, certainly based on the data that's been coming in the first 2 quarters of 2021, was stronger than we had previously anticipated, and so that has flown through in terms of our projections looking forward.